Yes, sir.
Hard to follow up on that question because it was such a good one, but I'll go with it anyway. With respect to movies, you know, you got like Apollo 13 and right stuff and, you know, to the moon and back. Which one of those are particularly good, or another one out there that's particularly, you know, good with respect to being faithful to the real mission and the real issues? And, you know, if there's one out there that really gets your goat, that'd be interesting to hear that too.
Did you guys hear the question? Did you all hear it? Which film or miniseries did you think was the best? And don't just forget I'm here. Don't mind me.
One of the movies. Thank you. One of the movies that I enjoyed was a 3D movie, IMAX movie that Tom Hanks did called Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon. And I took my family there, and really it focused on Apollo 15 area of the moon, but it was really well done, and I felt like I was as close as I ever felt that I'd been back to the moon.
Wow.
I think Tom Hanks is the only one that's ever done a really quality job on anything.
We were invited to, just as an aside, we were invited to a special screening of Apollo 13 in Houston, and Hanks and all the other stars showed up, and we had a nice reception, and then they all took us to the theaters, a couple of hundred gals sitting there, and all the mission control and all of the astronauts that were involved in Apollo. And Tom Hanks and Ron Howard came out on the stage to introduce this movie, and man, they were nervous as cats. You know, the first people to see this movie was the people who did it. And
that's a pucker factor for you.
I can't remember whether it was Ron Howard or Tom Hanks. They were rubbing their hands, and he said, now, we hope you enjoy this, but we want you to realize this is not a documentary, it's a movie.
I thought one of the best things that came out of there was James Michener's depiction in his book Space, which turned out to be a mini-series many years ago, but it was obviously a fictionalized version, but with a lot of real thought-provoking aspects of it in terms of intelligence in space and those kinds of things, etc. That was a 13-part miniseries. I thought it was very well done. Of course, I was a technical advisor.
He was even in the movie. You were in the movie yourself.
I would have to add that if you haven't seen it, it was here the last couple of days, the wonder of it all. I learned so many things about my friends here that I just didn't know before.
Really, I'll second that. The wonder of it all. Al? Rogers?
I'll answer that question after they made a movie of my book.
I second that because I was his mentor.
You know, as we wind down here a little bit, I think maybe I'd like to ask you about the kind of bumpy road that you all had to live through in terms of what the fame has done, what the public attention has done. Al, you've come out with a book that's very candid about the difficulties you had because of the stamp situation and you know, the position that you felt your commander put you in. Walt, your fortunes were severely affected by the guy that you ended up being assigned to a crew with. Dick, you and Pete Nell had one of the closest crews that's ever flown in space. Charlie, you've had your own experience, and Fredo, you've had your own experience. You want to say a little bit about, you know, it's not the Life magazine image, of course, we all know that now, that you didn't all get along with each other, you did the job, you all worked together. But the aftermath of doing something like going to the moon or flying Apollo in Earth orbit, how that bumpy road, you want to talk a little bit about that? The stresses, maybe, the pressures, the rewards?
I'll try to take a whack at that and hopefully be very brief. You know, I think everybody has a bumpy road. And, you know, we're not unique. You're just like we are. But I think the lesson that I've learned from my experiences is don't be afraid of failure. Take risks. That's what life is all about. And when you take risks, you're going to meet with failure. And I've had a few failures along the way. Failure for selection and the second group. I expressed my EVA experiences with Gen 11. It could be a failure. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, that's for sure. But I talk to young people today, and it's life. And if you're going to succeed, take those risks. Sure, you'll have failures along the way, but who doesn't? So use a failure as your best teacher, as a learning experience, and press on.
I kind of agree with Dick. I think you have to take a risk to get anywhere. You're not going to succeed in anything unless you take a risk to get there. But I have to say, I was pretty disappointed when I got kicked out of Houston back in '72. That was kind of a bum thing for me. I went out to Ames Research Center and became one of the managers out there. And I came to the conclusion that that was the best thing that could have happened to me. And I think that no matter what happens to any of us, the best thing that could happen to us will probably be the thing that happens. Everything is for a purpose. And going out to Ames as a manager was a great thing for me because I got 3 years of really, really great management experience, and that helped me very well after I retired and kept working. I mean, I retired in 1975, right? I've had 4 jobs since then. My wife says, when the hell are you going to quit? Running around, and that's not me. I don't think that's anybody that you see up here on this stage. Not a one of us is like that. Not a one of us. We may be officially retired, but we're not retired. We're all doing things. We're all very active. We're all here in Tucson, right? Mm-hmm. It's a long ways to come. So I think it's we're type A personalities, probably all of us, and things work out for the best. They always do.
Aside from the risk, when I talk to young children, or even up through high school, college, the thing I try to impress on them, which I've followed through, really continuing today, is to find where your talent fits. I don't try to talk them into being the scientist, engineer, and astronaut. I hope some of them do. But you got to find what your inherent talent is and try to find the occupation that best fits that. And kind of stick with it, even though some places you end up maybe along the way you don't like your boss or whatever, but stay in general with that path. And I've done that all my life. From Apollo, I went into the program. I went to Harvard Business School. I went into the program office, early development of shuttle. And again, as Al was a program manager type. Then back to shuttle to fly it, to Enterprise, but then I joined Grumman Corporation, ran space programs for 4 years, formed a subsidiary company for Grumman service business. One contract I left the company I'd formed to go run for 4 years was the system engineering integration contract on Space Station. So for 4 years I was on Space Station and took it through its first 2 redesigns. Trying to meet budget bogeys that were imposed, and just have continued even today. I've been involved 7 years building the Science Museum. I worked a lot with the design, and now mostly in raising money to finish getting it built.
You mean you turned into a politician?
I was asked to be a politician in Mississippi with all the notoriety of 13th century. Comer, a congressman, was retiring. He was the oldest congressman, or senior congressman at the time, ran the Ways and Means Committee when it was powerful. And I'd been brought up there enough by Senator Stennis as the Mississippi astronaut. And I saw what that life was like, and I decided that's not for an engineer. So I backed away. The fellow that ran for that office was a fellow named Trent Lott, who later, when Eastland retired, ran for Senate, and as you know, got up there pretty high before he left. But anyway, no, I was not interested in that. I knew very clearly that was not my lifestyle.
When I look back on it, I realized, I think even then I realized it was how fortunate we were to be allowed to do these things. I don't know who said that, but I have to tell you that that's really my feeling about it. I went on to do a variety of things. I've had some winners and losers, but probably my most useful aspect was I organized a venture capital fund. There was this risk. I say ditto on what you say about having risk in your life. Do not avoid those risks. You move ahead by those risks. I did an early stage venture fund. We invested in probably 24 startup early stage technology companies. I learned a lot from that. I've been asked on a number of occasions to get involved in politics. I was smart enough to realize that I couldn't get elected dog catcher. If you listened this morning, you understand why. I just look back on the whole thing, and the older I get, the more I realize, and I bet the rest of the people up here do too, how fortunate we were to have lived when we did, because our attitude is not as acceptable today as it was 40 years ago.
Charlie, you get the last word.
I think looking back over the last 45, since 1966 when I started in the space program with Frodo and Al, others in our 19 group, we've had a lot of ups and downs. There have been a lot of bumps in the road, people in the bondage, personal problems, and people searching for things to do. But as I see it now, things are sort of stabilized out for everybody. And I spent a lot of time traveling the world as basically as an ambassador for the space program. And it's amazing to me the influence that Apollo has had over the entire world. Even today, people seek to meet people. We have such an influence, and we can have such an influence in the world even today for what we did 40 years ago. Opportunities we got to do 40, 45 years ago, and it's to motivate this next generation and to get them to accept the risk and to look, if you will, look beyond Z and dream big. That's what I told my grandson's graduating class from high school just about a week ago, was dream big, and you can make an influence. And so we try to make a positive influence and to encourage people to dream big and do their best. And I think our backgrounds give us a bully pulpit, if you will, to do that.
That's a beautiful note to end on.